6 o'clock made me want to cry. The ocean's all polluted and we've damaged all the sky. And there's wars and rumors and a hungry baby cries. And still we have to suffer politicians' lies. Just give me the good news. Yeah, yeah. You can keep the bad, just give me the good news. Yeah, yeah. Happy, not the sad. Oh, your money, it never goes far enough these days. The rich just getting richer, and the poor man always pays. The postman brings the bad news. The bills come through the door in those greedy little envelopes, always wanting more. Oh, give me the good news. Yeah, yeah. You can keep the bad, just give me the good news. Yeah, yeah. Happy, not the sad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You take a 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and you roll them into one. Give me the two sides of the story, the mirror and the sun. Put away the misery, put away the gun. It's been a hard old century, there's a better one to come. Oh, this is the good news. Yeah, yeah. You can keep the bad, yes, this is the good news. Yeah, yeah. The happy, not the sad, this is the good news. Yeah, yeah. You can keep the bad, yes, this is the good news. Yeah, yeah. The happy, not the sad. Just give me the good news. Yeah, yeah. You can keep the bad, or give me the good news. Yeah, yeah. The happy, not the sad. Give me the good news. Yeah, yeah. You can keep the bad, just give me the good news. Yeah, yeah. The happy, not the sad. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
August 𝐷𝐸. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Kathleen O'Neill, along with Bruce Smith, as we invite you to another 2 hours of Irish music, news, and announcements on Detroit Irish Radio at crbradio.com. The call-in number is boy, Bruce, we're off to a great start. 313-942-0159. For those of you that have news to share with us, we also can be heard on the Gaelic League of Detroit.org website, or better yet, Detroit Irish Radio Facebook page, where you can click on the link right to the cbrradio.com studio too. Oh, Bruce,
Kathleen's having a bad day here.
We're off to a great start, and it's only because I'm so excited. We have a guest here in our Gaelic League studio today, someone that has been to the AM radio station in the past, and has already made mention that he's delighted with the setup here. It's our good friend, Enden Riley. Welcome, Enden.
Thanks very much, Kathleen. Great to be here with you.
Yeah, our new location, and we're looking forward to spending time with Enden. Yesterday, he had a fabulous streamline on both Facebook and YouTube, and you can go back and take a listen to that. But you have exciting news, so that's why we started with good news. The good news, it not only is from the Saw Doctors who sang that, but the good news is here in the Detroit area, and first on Detroit Irish Radio to share the good news that Enden Riley is bringing to us today. So how do we want to start this day now that I've chatted away a little bit? We do anticipate a phone call, hopefully from Father Brendan shortly, But tell us a little bit, Endon. You are originally from Dublin, yes?
Yeah. I'm from Dublin and living here with my wife Anne-Marie, who's with us here in the
Yes.
Gaelic League.
Big
as well.
shout out to Anne-Marie.
Yeah.
We're going to hopefully get some pictures from her later so that they can be shared on Facebook.
Yeah, so I had an album out earlier this year, and it's kind of relatively new. But I have another bone to pick with. I have another album to make in me this year, which was this one, To the Waters and the Wild, which is all of W.B. Yeats's poems set to music by myself, and so although I have one version on here that everyone will know already, and I have my arrangement of this, which is down by the Sally Garden. So I thought I might start off by singing a little bit of that. Is that all right? Are you ready for a call?
We just missed the call, so we're going to call Father Brendan right back.
Get the call back, and then we'll do it.
Yeah. Know that part of our show is already done, but while we're waiting on that, you said from Dublin. Dublin's a very big place. For those that love Dublin and maybe have a certain connection or home there, where are you exactly in the Dublin area?
I'm from Tymon Crescent in Old Bawn in Tala. And so that's down by the Dublin mountains there, out the Tala Road from Dublin. So yeah, that's where.
I was going to say, isn't that where Paddy Riley is from too? Tullet.
Don't. So I'm not sure where Paddy's from now, to be honest. But
okay, he is, I believe.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, my husband's friends with him, but it looks like we have our good friend Father Brendan McCarrick, who's from the other side of the country in Sligo, calling. And how are you doing today, Father Brendan? We have Endon Riley here as our guest today in our new location at the Gaelic League. You got good news too, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. There's always good news for the Irish. And welcome to Enda. I'm sure he's going to have a wonderful time here launching his new album. So it's going to be fantastic for him, but also for all the Irish to enjoy his wonderful music.
Thanks, Father.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Lovely.
So, Father, tell us what's going on with your life. You're off.
I'm heading on a jet plane tomorrow morning, thank God.
Yes, and
Yes.
and it's not to Ireland, though, is it?
No, this time it's going to Italy. This time it's going to Italy with about 25 members of our parish, so it's going to be wonderful. And we're going to enjoy the travel, and we'll be back. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss the Irish Night at Tigers this year. But there will be many other people there, I'm sure, to support and keep the flag flying high.
Oh, yeah, there will be plenty there for that, and hopefully you'll be back before Aoife Scott comes to the Gaelic League on the 14th, or are you back then yet?
I'll be back on the 10th.
Oh, good. Okay. Because I was going to say, we heard yesterday when he Endon did his Streamline that he will also be doing a set with Aoife, so that will be an extra special night concert
Fantastic.
that people won't want to miss. So you have been in the habit of giving us blessings on a regular basis, and I guess we can give you our good thoughts, maybe not quite as blessings, but we do wish you safe travel, Father Brendan, and all the about 40 people that from the parish that are going with you on this pilgrimage.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, have a wonderful time. Come back refreshed and to share it with all of us. That
we'll come back and we'll hit the ground running because we have to get everything ready for the 11th of November.
Oh yeah, that's coming up quick too, isn't it?
It'll be on top of us before we know it.
I know, and for those that might be just tuning in for the first time, what's happening on November 11th, which is also Veterans Day?
Well, as well as being Veterans Day, we're going to have the annual Palatine Dance. And there we'll be honouring the man and woman of the year, Maureen Moriarty Root and John Heinzman. And as well as honouring them, we'll also be having a wonderful big raffle where we'll be giving away lots of money on the night. And we're also going to have a few silent auctions as well for a few very significant prizes, one which includes a week's stay in Ireland the week of St. Patrick's.
Oh, wow. That is, very enticing. Now, those tickets, are they being sold in advance, or
the
do you
tickets will
have to
become
be at the
available
party?
very, very soon.
Okay.
And then once they're available, they'll be available through the Palatine House.
Excellent. Well, see, I started off the right way today with good news. That's another exciting thing that we all look
All
forward
good
to.
news. When I was listening to that song, it reminded me actually of Christy Moore's song, the ordinary man.
Oh, right.
The same sentiments, that the poor ordinary man or the working man gets all the hard work.
Yes, but you know what? I don't know if they enjoy it, but they certainly deserving of that reward in heaven eventually, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any other good news and before you head off?
Well, the good news is the weather is looking well and our works are going well, and please God, the world is going to be good to us over the next couple of weeks and months, and we'll have more peace and happiness and joy everywhere, and that's what we all want.
Exactly. Yep. All right. Well, you take care and enjoy your holiday and enjoy your visits to the various places in Italy that are already planned. It sounds like a fascinating trip. And,
It certainly does.
Yeah, and you're going with some good people, you know.
The best of the best.
Well, don't say the best of the best. We would be on it.
Well, the rest of them are going to come with me on my trip to Ireland next year.
There you go. You got another one in the works.
Another one already in the works.
Yeah, so maybe we can make it to that one. All right. Take care, Father. God bless you.
God bless you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so very much for calling us. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And always a pleasure hearing from Father Brendan McCarrick. He is originally from Sligo, but now it's down in Wyandotte with the St. Vincent Pallotti Parish, and also a very active chaplain at the hospital and helping with the Palatine House there in Wyandotte. For now, we're going to go change hats, go back to our friend Endon, who is here with us. And Endon, tell us a little bit. You were going to start off with the song Down by the Sally Gardens.
Yeah, well, I had a quick check to see where Paddy Riley was from on Wikipedia there. He's from Rathcoole, which is not too far from Tallaght. Yeah, it's just out the road. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Same general area.
You're right.
Okay.
It's same general area. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and what a singer, like, he's big influence that you just hear him and the Dubliners and all, you know, on the radio growing up, and wonderful singer of the ballads, like, yeah.
Right.
So so moving along, I'm gonna sing a version. So this album that I put together, it also, as well as it being W.B. Yeats's poetry, it also has some translations to the Irish language, so it gives a feel of the Gaelic language as well. And the translations are done by the one and only Gabriel Rosenstock, who is foremost translator of works from all around the world into Gaelic. He did a wonderful job of translating what he calls transcreating, because it's difficult to translate things, especially in poetry and that type of thing. But he does an amazing job, because he keeps the meter and the rhythm of the words the same, and which is a very difficult thing to do. So
now, before you go, this is also on your
This
latest?
is, yeah.
Okay, and question, the album is mainly, or is all W.B. Yeats's poetry that you put to music, or except this one?
Yeah,
right.
exactly, yeah.
Okay. Did he write all of his poetry in Gaelic?
No, so Yeats wrote his poetry in English.
Oh.
He actually never got to learn Gaelic, even though he went around. He was very interested in the mythology, and he was very inspired by that. But it's a tricky language to learn if you don't grow up speaking it. So he tried to learn it a number of times, I think down in Cork, Kerry area, but he wasn't able to get the language into him. Yeah, it's a tricky one. He had friends who spoke the language, and he would ask meanings of things, and he would get the understanding of things. But yeah, so that's what's interesting. He had a love of the language, but he never got to learn it. So that's what's interesting about Gabriel Rosenstock translating the works back into Gaelic.
Oh, how
is
sweet.
that
Now, see, I was not aware of that.
especially this one, because this was one of the early ones that he really would have been influenced by old stories and Irish mythology. Later on, he kind of went on into kind of politics and different areas, but in his early times, he was very much into the folklore and the Gaelic revival that was happening at the time, you know.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So, but we'll have a listen.
Yeah, so this is, you might be, you might have heard the melody before, so here we go. Is Cushgary and a Sally doing may heinous movie agra. Now she hargar hana Sally is a 𝐃𝐞𝐭𝐫𝐤𝐿𝐴 Bug bra she a story maar de loge dag daar een ground. Ach wees se boys die ween is kill the ween they go. 'Twas down by the Sally Gardens my love and I did meet, and she passed the Sally Gardens with the little snow-white feet. She bade me take love easy as the leaves grow on the trees, but I was young and foolish, and with her would not agree. Art kushna howing doing may heinous _𝑔𝐴 like she lied woolen long love all in Lunrugglay Rabugger she a story Mara Irene and Horror glass Akbias a boy Stevie back with your longer from in a field down by the river my love and I did stand, and on my leaning shoulder she placed her snow-white hand. She bade me take love easy as the grass grows on the weirs. How would I, being young and foolish, now I'm full of tears.
Beautiful. Thank you. And then talking about the Gaelic, you play, in fact, you have a whole album that's all Irish songs, or all
I
in
do,
Irish.
yeah.
And I'm wondering, what was your influence there? Was it, did you speak it at home, or was it just a love of it?
So, well, I went to 𝐾𝐞𝐭𝐫𝐤𝐿𝐴 all my life, so Irish speaking school. So since I was 3, I was speaking Gaelic in school. So all my life I was involved in Gaelic and the Gaelic language. Yeah. So Nínre or Nínan Beaga, which is like preschool, and then elementary school, which is bun school, and then Mean school is your secondary school, is what we call that in Ireland, which is high school. And so all that was in Gaelic. So I would have learned physics and chemistry through Gaelic, through Irish. And also, I would have learned even other languages like German. You're learning German through the Irish language, yeah. So yeah, and then I kind of lost some of the because I went to university and I studied science, And that was through English, which was strange at the beginning, learning mathematics and things like that through English. You had to learn the new vocabulary and all that. But so I lost a bit of my Irish, and so the Gaelic album that I wrote was kind of a returning to the Irish language, and it was a DJ who opened the door. That's why DJs are so important, to give to give a place for the music to be played. A man called Ronan McAwee from Donegal, who's a great man, and he pretty much almost gave me permission, as it were. I sent some of my music to him, and he was like, "Have you got anything in Irish, in Gaelic?" And I was like, I didn't realize I was allowed to create in the Gaelic language, because I think some of us think that it's this kind. When you in school, it can be kind of like, well, everything has to be perfect, because it's about grammar and getting everything correct, and you think of it as this thing that's exams, and you don't think of it as and you think of it as an old thing. And that, well, that's, it's amazing and everything, but it's not like I can't do something with it now. But that just opened the door to me. That was like, right, I'm allowed to create in this language. And then that was really, started a fire in me to relearn the Irish language. So that was, so that's what it was kind of.
How interesting. Yeah, I guess you think that it's already shaped and formed, and that's the end of it, and that's what you learn. And but here you have been so creative and kind of revived it along with other revivalists in the past.
I mean, there are different levels of I think my level of Gaelic, even though I was learning it all the way up, is fairly modest. When I've since done a lot of work with poets like Louis de Poire, Biddy Jenkinson, and Gabriel Rosenstock, and many others, and their level of Gaelic is like 100 times higher, as it were. You know what I mean? The diversity in the language is just, it's massive, So I'm kind of doing my own little thing, kind of pop folk thing with it, but they really go in deep, and I've learned an awful lot by working with those as a guitarist in Ireland over the years as well. So I would kind of put little nice bits of guitar behind them speaking poems and things like that, and we've done that in theatres around the country. There's a lovely festival, it's called the Imram Festival, IMRAM, and Féile Imram, and they do an awful lot for the Irish language and for poetry, Gaelic poetry.
Well, that's another subject we're going to touch on in a minute, but do you have another song that you'd like to feature here? Why don't I do the one that Yeats himself would usually make sure to always perform or speak. And if you go to Dublin to the National Library, which is just to the left of the Dáil, the Parliament. So you might have been to the museum where all the gold and Viking stuff and everything is kept. It's just the other side of the Dáil from that. There's an exhibition there of Yeats, and you can see all his writings, and I've spent hours in there. And that was one of the things that just made me get more and more into Yeats's poems and poetry. You get to see his drafts of his work. So as a songwriter, that just really appealed to me, to see his patience with his art and craft, because you can get, you can want your first draft to be it, but when you see how patient somebody else can be and the results they get, it's inspiring, So anyway, this is the Lake Isle of Innisfree, and he wrote this when he was in England, in London, and he was escaping the trappings of the city in his mind to go back to Sligo.
I will rise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there. I'll
hive for the honeybee, and live alone in the Beelone glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings there. Midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, an evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day. I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway, or on the pavement's grey. I hear it in the deep heart's core.
We're going to get into Yeats in a minute and your interest in him, but I'm going to go back to your schooling. Did you study poetry and English, or weren't you into environmental or?
Yeah, so well in school we just in English for the leaving cert and all, you learned an awful lot of poetry, Shakespeare, and it'd be depending on what year you'd be in, you would focus on Keats, or there'd be lots of different one. And Yeats was there definitely the year that I was there, which was great. And you'd always do a few Yeats poems. And there's something about Yeats's poetry that lends itself well to putting melodies to it. He said himself that he wrote for the ear, and I think you can hear that in the rhythms that are kind of predictable rhythms, which are good to have, because a lot of newer poetry is kind of free form, and then it's I think if you were a classical composer, you could probably put that stuff together into music as well, but it would be a little bit more difficult for me anyway. But so that's why Yeats's stuff kind of just speaks to me a bit more. And it's not that I'm a poet or I'm not even all that intellectual with these things. It's just it was something that's just kind of it's just kind of crept up on me, as it were, over the years. And then end up in a theatrical play I ended up in as well, with a theatre company called 𝐶𝐞𝐭𝐫𝐤𝐴, Everlasting Voices, which is one of the poems actually that I ended up, that's the reason that poem is on the CD, because I ended up performing with them around Ireland in Trinity College in the theatre there, and we went as far as Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
With it, yeah, and we performed in the consulate there, and in a theatre there too. And then we went to India, to a place called Hyderabad, and there was a literary festival there, and we performed it there, and people were very interested in both places, because Yeats had an interest in Japanese theatre as well. There's this strange kind of theatre that they do over there, and that so they've performed Yeats's plays, because Yeats had some plays as well over in Japan and stuff. So there was a lot of interest there for that too. Yeah. You mentioned about my interest in climate stuff, which is a different thing, but it kind of it can cross over a bit. While I was in India doing the play, I ended up doing one of my workshops with a group of kids to do with climate events as well. That's another thing that I had been doing. And actually, that last poem, I remember somebody telling me that somebody who had gone into the environmental sphere, that poem actually was the poem that inspired them to do that. So it's interesting that poetry can can talk to you in different ways,
Right. Very, very fascinating. And I guess we'll have another song because I could chat with you for hours. I'm one of those ones that have a lot of questions, but we're going to talk about your interest in Yeats. But How about another? And is this going to be another song from your newest album that's coming out?
I may as well keep going with that. We'll change it up a bit if it's all right with Bruce. We might try a bower on here and see. Hopefully that it's going to not be too loud for you. This is so I began playing the bower on only recently. Just before COVID, I think I took it up. So I have a lovely bower on from Canada. Actually, was made over there by Sylvan Temple Drums. And so for Motor City Irish Festival this year, Bridget asked me to try and incorporate more about the little folk or the fairy folk. And Yeats was, as we said earlier, was into the folklore and the mythology, and part of that is the 𝙤𝙬𝙬𝙬, as they're sometimes called, or the fairy folk, or an 𝐿𝙚𝙯. 𝐶𝐿 is the word for fairy in Irish. 𝐿G is kind of young, and 𝐶 is kind of the 𝐴irí means kind of eternal. So it's kind of like the eternal young people kind of thing is what it is. So this is a song that is called A Fairy Song, which I added to my set in Motor City earlier this year. And in it, the fairy folk are welcoming 𝐷iarmid which is to the next world. And that's a whole other story, 𝐷iarmid. We can get into that some other time. We who are old and gay, oh so old, thousands of years if all were told. Give to these children new from the earth silence and love, and the long dew-dropping hours of the night, and the stars above. Give to these children new from the world rest, far from men. Is anything better? Anything better? Tell us it then. Us who are old and gay, oh so old, thousands of years if all were told, if all were told.
Very, very nice. I should remind everyone, we are down here at the Gaelic League, located at 2068 Michigan Avenue in Detroit, in Corktown. And we are broadcasting here every Sunday from 1 to 3. You're more than welcome to come down. And today, to see our special guest, Endon Riley. Also, we have Tim Fix as our friendly bartender today. Also happening today is the AOH is having their picnic. And later this evening, there is that first pitch raffle draw out at Dunleavy's Irish Pub in Allen Park. This is the pitch for the game that's happening this coming Friday, September 2nd. It's Irish Heritage Night at 𝐶𝐞𝐭 Park with the Detroit Tigers versus the Kansas City Royals. But today, you have the opportunity to purchase these tickets, which are $5 each or 5 for $20, and the drawing will be at 6 o'clock. As I mentioned, Dunleavy's is located at 6004 Allen Road in Allen Park. It's a matter of whoever wins being able to throw out that first pitch at the game and have a chance to be on that 𝐶𝐭 Park pitcher's mound, represent the Irish community, meet the catcher and some of the Tiger dignitaries, and also get your picture taken with the manager and catcher. If you want to go down there earlier today, certainly Dunleavy's will welcome you. They have wonderful food to serve and drinks. And stick around for the draw, or you do not need to be present to win, as some people already have their tickets, probably, especially those that are out at the AOH picnic today. And just a reminder, there's still time to get tickets. The tickets are $32 per person, entitles you to one mezzanine ticket, one 2022 Tigers Irish Heritage Night hat. Has a Detroit D and shamrock on it, green hat. And $5 of your purchase goes towards the United Irish Society's continuing with their putting on a parade annually. Fun part is there's a parade onto the field prior to the game. There will be festivities and music. All that starts at 6 o'clock. The game itself is at 7:10. And during the seventh inning stretch, not only will they sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, but you'll also be hearing When Irish Eyes Are Smiling. Sounds like a fun night. It has been in the past. Hopefully you'll be able to join. It is Labor Day weekend, but it's a nice kickoff on Friday night. For tickets, give Marilyn a call at 734-287-3143. And I'd like to take a moment and just say La Braha Hana to those celebrating birthdays today, including Emily Freeman and Tim Taylor. Tomorrow, Bridget McCarville. Tuesday, Jack Gannon. Wednesday, Jesse Chapman, Mary Pat Krieger, and Bill Rogers. And then on Saturday, Tom McNeil, we're going into September already, Tom McNeil, Caitlin Shepkowski, and Adeline Williams. So very happy birthday to all of them. And as we were talking, we might as well mention our anniversary couples. A very happy anniversary to Paul and Abby Campton, celebrating their anniversary today. On Wednesday, Don and Marcia Detter, 54 years, and Tom and Mary Underhill, 49 years. Then into September, September 2nd, which is Friday. Wow. Marilyn Couture and her husband John, 55 years. You know where they're going to be, out watching a ball game at Comerica Park for Irish Night. Congratulations, John and Marilyn. And Brian and Pam Dunleavy are also celebrating their anniversary on the 2nd, 34 years. So congratulations to them as well. On Saturday, we have Jack and Giselle Clancy celebrating 56 years of marriage. And we know Giselle was just put on the prayer list, so we wish them an extra special happy anniversary together. Okay, you took an interest in Yeats. And Yeats actually was from the Dublin area, I believe, and lived in England, London area, but came home to Sligo, and I guess that's where he eventually was buried. Why Yeats over other poets?
Actually, I think he was buried out
in France. Was
it in Italy or France? And then they brought him back over. Then after the war. It was just before the war, and then I think they brought him back over, something like that. Anyway. And there's a big controversy over whether they got all his bones or not, or whether it was a mix of bones and is Yeats really in. So there was a documentary, I can't remember the name of it, but they used one of my interpretations in the documentary.
Really?
Maybe that's a good segue to the next one. Myself and my friend Stephen James Smith. Stephen James Smith is a contemporary poet in Ireland at the moment, and he has written some great poems. One is called Ireland Is, and it's a big long list poem about everything that Ireland is, and a number of years ago they used it as the theme for the Patrick's Day Parade in Dublin. So if you haven't heard of Stephen James Smith, he's amazing. And so Stephen and I did an album a number of years ago called Arise and Go, with some of Yeats's poems on it. And it was an interesting experiment. Stephen would say the poem and I would sing the poem at the same time. And it was kind of a strange experience for people to listen to, but we were. It was just a thing that happened out of nowhere. I was playing a gig, and Stephen knew the poem, and he had a point or two on him, and he started reciting the poem at the same time, and then people were like, "That was cool. Do that again." So that was another part of the story of the poetry for me. Myself and Stephen did a tour of Denmark at one point, which is where Aoife is at the moment. Aoife Scott is doing a tour of Denmark currently. So it all ties in. So will I continue and do another one for you?
Sure.
I might do just a few verses of this. This is a pretty long one. This is called September 1913. And in it, W.B. Yeats was kind of annoyed at it's just before the rebellion, so 1916 hasn't happened yet. And he's he thinks that all of the folks involved with talking about rebellion and all are just full of hot air, and he's a bit annoyed at them. And there was also William Martin Murphy had he was the kind of the big capitalist at the time, and he had locked the big lockout, as many of your listeners would have heard of, had happened as well. So there was a lot going on, and Yeats was saying romantic Ireland is dead and gone. It's with O'Leary in the grave. So he was kind of like lamenting heroes like O'Leary and Robert Emmet and all these folks who came before. Anyway, so here's a little bit of it. What need you being come to sense but fumble in the greasy till and add the halfpence to the pence and prayer to shivering prayer until you've dried the marrow from the bone? For men were born to pray and say, romantic Ireland's dead and gone. It's with O'Leary in the grave. Romantic Ireland's dead and gone. It's with O'Leary in the grave. Yet they were of a different kind, the names that still your childish play. They've gone about the world like wind, but little time had they to pray. For whom that hangman's rope was spun, and what, God help us, could they say? Romantic Ireland's dead and gone. It's with O'Leary in the grave. Romantic Ireland's dead and gone. It's with O'Leary in the grave. Yet could we turn those years again and call those exiles as they were? In all their loneliness and pain, you'd cry some woman's yellow hair, as maddened every mother's son. They weighed so lightly what they gave, but let them be, they're dead and gone. They're with O'Leary in the grave. I let them be, they're dead and gone. They're with O'Leary in the grave.
Wait.
Hang on.
You
Go.
can't. Okay, I was going to say that was beautiful, and I just want to repeat what I thought I heard and believe, that you have put music to all of these poems that Yeats wrote.
Right.
And then they're beautiful songs.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
So this one, there's a video of this that we did in the International Bar in Dublin, and so for the leaving certificate, which is kind of brings everything full circle, because I put melody to this for myself to remember the poem when I was in the exam. That was where it started with, and I wrote some songs for myself just as little mnemonic devices, you know. But the video was actually in the textbook for the leaving certificate. They've got the link for the video of myself and Stephen doing this, and just to engage, high school kids with it. So it's nice that it went full circle.
Well, isn't that cool? So,
Yeah.
so is there a way that our listeners can see that video? Or
Yeah.
the other thing was you mentioned that you and Stephen have compiled an album together or CD or something. Is there any way people could?
Yeah, I believe I have a number of them on the way to America. So watch this
good.
space next year, perhaps at some of the gigs in a few months' time. I'll have more of those. We did have them when we were in Ireland for a while, but they got kind of shelved for a while, and now we'll get them back out again. So that was a. So I think that's on Stephen James Smith's YouTube page and not my own YouTube page, but you'll definitely find it up there. It's called September 1913, if you put in my name, ENDAREILLY, you'll find it definitely. Yeah.
And it's on the new album. So how can people who are listening, and I'm going to repeat what we said a couple weeks ago, that anyone that's out there, and now that we are worldwide on this internet,
Right.
Cave Radio, if you would like to interview Endon Riley, or if you'd like his music, you can contact him at, is it just endonriley.com?
Yeah, endonriley.com. Yeah.
So, and that September 1913 is on the song.
Yeah,
on the album.
Yeah, so myself and Stephen have had a version together for years, and people have been asking me to do a solo version for years. So that's one of the bits of impetus to get the album to get this album made. So that's it. And another is that I've been playing at some of the festivals, and I mentioned Motor City Irish Festival, which was really well done this year, and really enjoyed the festival, and everyone who went did as well. And it's great that they have a cultural stage. And I performed a lot of these on the cultural stage there this year as well. And I'll be off to Pittsburgh and Michigan Irish Music Festival as well. So if you don't mind, I'll let people know if you can make it up to Muskegon for the Michigan Irish Music Festival, that I'll be performing all of these live, or a number of them anyway, on the Sunday, the 17th of September. And
Sundays is the 18th.
Sunday, is it? Well, the Sunday of that weekend.
The Sunday, okay.
Yeah.
Just making it clear, okay.
Okay.
It is, Sunday is the 18th. All right, tell me, there was another question that was going to be formed here. I don't know what it is. Oh, I know. You wrote another song talking about festivals recently in Buffalo. Would you mind sharing about that song and playing it for us?
Yeah, so myself and many of your listeners might know the Byrne brothers, who played in who've been to the AOH a number of times, and also we're at the Motor City Irish Festival. We after the festival in Buffalo, which was great fun, there was a naval park across the street from the hotel, and Tommy Byrne was like, "Will we go over here?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll go over and have a look." And could see that there was a ship there, but didn't really know what was going on. And turns out then the name of the ship was the Sullivans, and there was a big green shamrock on the side, and we were like, "What's this all about?" So literally didn't know, I hadn't a clue, and we walked on, and we were given a wonderful tour of the ships that were there. We didn't get inside the Sullivans because it's damaged at the moment. It took some damage in the over the years, so they're gonna fix it. But anyway, we were told of the story that the 5 Irish Iowan brothers went into the Navy and after Pearl Harbor, and they felt compelled to go in because a friend of theirs was killed in Pearl Harbor. So and then they wanted to split them up because you don't want to have people serving from the one family. But their whole thing was, we stick together. That was their
Motto.
That was their motto, as it
Yeah.
were. And so they ended up serving aboard the Juno, and then it got taken down in Guadalcanal, which was in the Pacific Ocean, where they kind of all the two masses of ships met kind of at night without. I think it was by accident, kind of. So it was a strange kind of encounter. So anyway, the song tells the rest of it. But they went down with the ship. As many, I'm sure you all know the story better than me, probably. And so anyway, but that's it. So I just felt Tommy was like, "And I'll write a song about that," and I was like, "I will." So then, by the time I was driving, probably halfway home to Plymouth, I had the chorus at least written, and then I did my research and we wrote the rest of the song.
Very nice. And we'll have a listen. And what is the title of the song?
So it's called, well, actually, it hasn't the title. It's either called The Sullivans or We Stick Together. Let your listeners vote on what they think the name of the song should be.
Do you know what? We can do that because we have plenty of people tuned in. And why don't we just acknowledge those right now that are listening?
Right.
And we thank Mary Bongiorno for making it possible for me to be able to share. But it says, hello, Kathleen and Bruce, from Stacy Skinador. She's from Illinois, tuning in every Sunday. Mark Hurley, Cheryl Perkins, which is part of Environs Wren. Barbara Weir, Patrick Cummings, Christine Gordon, Maureen Root, Aileen Purcell Daniel, Bridget Taylor, Bill Schulte, William Truesdale, Billy Schell, Stephen Sonetti, Anna Gavin, Andrea Gohl, Megan Visser, Julie Byrne, Heather Connor, Ronan Murray, Yvonne Risman, Randy Duncan, Mickey Tiernan, Joshua Heston, Maura Byrne, Kelly Mankey, Sean Murphy, Anne Marie Riley, who is here in person, and I believe Sean Riley, is that a brother of yours?
Could be my brother, Sean, yes. How are you, Sean?
Oh, a few more, Sheila Maloney and Dennis McGilvray. Or Gilvray?
McGilvray, yeah. We've lots of folks there we know. Hello, everybody, and Julie Byrne is there. She's of the Byrne brothers clan as well. So yeah.
Well, good. So and we'll send that out to those that are listening, but also to those that are in need of prayers at this time, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Albert Padre, Sonadini Atautin, to Laura Bond, Mary Cullen Bryan. Judy and Tom Bruni, Bill Carney, Giselle Clancy, John Couture, Kitty Durbin, Brian Dunleavy, Bruce Farrell, John Finnerty, Bridie Flynn, Ed Foley, Mary Gold, Jack and Joanne Haley, Dave and Aaron Keem, Jamie Jones, Ann Kerwin, Richard Lemke, Kevin Lussick, Rick McMurray, Richard McNichols, Sean Moore, Bridget Murray, Gertie O'Kennedy, Father Dan O'Sullivan, Joe Parsky, Ann Purcell, Mary Ann Quinn, Teresa Roddy, Chris Scanlon, Mary Sheehy, Megan Tierney, Sarah Turner, Lexton Williams, Joan Wisely, and your family members and friends that may be in need of prayers at this time, as well as the caregivers, the doctors, the nurses, the hospital staff. So the directive that we're going to give our listeners is, especially those that are on Facebook, you can send a message to Mary and we can tabulate, or send it to the Detroit. You can text it 313-942-0159. What would you like the name of this next song to be? So what are the choices again?
The Sullivans.
Okay.
Or We Stick Together.
Sounds.
I think,
or if they have something
there
other.
you go, you never know.
You might be a creative one out there that has
Yeah.
a different take.
Yeah.
We'll have a listen to this song.
We stick together, boys, the Sullivans, oh, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. Red, Frank, Albert, George, and Madison, the Sullivans, oh, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. At Pearl Harbor we lost a friend. 'Twas only right we must avenge. As brothers five we did unite. The Japanese we had to fight. 'Cause we stick together, boys, the Sullivans, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. Red, Frank, Albert, George, and Madison, the Sullivans, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. So we enlisted in the Navy, 5 proud Irish brothers. The rules were to split us up, but we said we stick together. We stick together, boys, the Sullivans, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. Red, Frank, Albert, George, and Madison, the Sullivans, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. So we served aboard the Juno at Guadalcanal, took a torpedo. With Guadalcanal, we took a torpedo with a broken keel, but we fixed her neat. Stayed afloat, but forced to retreat. To the New Hebrides we made our way, but the Japanese were waiting, and the I-26 sunk us quick at Torpedo Junction. And we stick together, boys, the Sullivans, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. Red, Frank, Albert, George, and Madison, the Sullivans, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. So now we are remembered by our dear father and mother, and the crew of DD 537, USS the Sullivans. And we stick together, boys, the Sullivans, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. Red, Frank, Albert, George, and Madison, the Sullivans, we stick together, boys, brothers till the end. Thanks a minute.
I think either one of those titles would
Will
serve,
do.
right?
Yeah.
Let's see. You have in the last year come together with 2 albums now.
Yes.
Are you finding living in Michigan inspiring?
Maybe, must be. Yeah.
Although you have written many songs back in Ireland with Aoife Scott and other, as you were mentioning, the Stephen
James Smith.
James Smith, yes.
Yeah.
But it's delight to see that you're kind of just flowing with all these different
thanks very
things.
much. Yeah, well, I have room to record at home and mix and master, and some of these on the album were recorded a while back, but I remixed them and remastered them for this album. And then some of them are new recordings that no one's heard as well. And so it's just, to be honest, I've wanted to make this CD for about since about 2015, and I made like part of the reason I didn't make the CD in the past was because of environmental concerns about the plastic and everything in it, and so for me I had some of them up online on my Bandcamp page, but anyway, this is they're called, the plastic on the outside of this is biodegradable, and it's minimal, as minimal as it can get really when it comes to a CD, and there's no big amount of plastic in it. So it's just if you don't make something physical, you feel like it's not really out there properly, So that's why I'm kind of going back to the CDs at the moment, and just as a method of getting them out to people. And then I'm performing at festivals as well, which is great to have something to be able to sell to. So that's kind of
Right.
the double reasoning, I guess. Things just seemed to come together. It was the right time. Like Whisperings earlier in the year, I just felt it was the right time to have a more folk album with all all the hits that people wanted to hear, you know. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of felt, well, the poetry was time for that. And in my mind, I'm already getting my songs that are like this one, or I have a number of other songs that I've written. So the next album, I think, will be more of a songwriter album again. Hopefully I'll have that out next year. But, I mean, I have to make that one still.
But, I mean, that's fascinating and wonderful, and I'm with you. I like, it's nice to be able to read online or listen to digitized music, but there's something to hold on to, and it kind of is something that is archived, or it's something that's always there and can go back to,
Yes.
Is there a song from either, now, so for me, I don't know how many albums you really have, but I'm now on my 4th Endon Riley. and how many years have you been here? Only a couple of years, and we had a couple of years of
3.
COVID. Yeah, 3 years, and you've lived in Michigan, and 2 years of COVID. And I'm up to my 4th. So are there more that are here, or?
Well, there was like my first album sold out a number of years ago. So that's available on Spotify and all. That's called Oxygen 21, and that's it was my first album. So all the songs are quite different on it, and. But yeah, there was a few other ones. Anne Marie's favorite isn't even available. It's called Sally Mount Avenue, and I made that one with a good friend of mine who plays the fiddle, Christoph Capewell, and that was a more traditional folk album a number of years back. But there was only 50 of them, and Anne Marie has one. So yeah, you just keep making music as you go, and that's kind of how the whole thing works. So yeah.
I was going to say, and Anne Marie is here. She's not near a mic. We can pull up a mic if you'd like to talk at all. If you don't mind, you have the good fortune of living with a very creative man that's very talented, and you must be part of that inspiration of.
Well, I don't know how much credit I can take. I know I give him as much space and time as he wants. He gets that back room all to himself. I don't go near it. No, but he's got a wealth of songs. Just, I think if anything ever happened to him, it'd be a devastating thing, because inside all that equipment you have, like just hundreds and hundreds of songs. His prolific nature is just unreal. And then every once in a while he'll dust something off and say, "Oh, do you remember this one?" And they are amazing.
Oh, they are amazing
tunes.
Yeah.
So I'm delighted to see product coming out and people getting their hands on things, because I know it's there. I know there's a lot of just a mountain of good stuff. And obviously his voice is just unique and really impresses people, and we just want it to be heard. So we really appreciate the time you give on the radio today and other times. Thank you.
I was going to say Bruce and I are probably one of your number one fans, or at least in this room right now. But no, seriously, it's not enough to just have the talent of writing a song, but it's the way that you express the song in your voice, but in the music too, the instruments that you use. It's just, I don't know if Bruce wants to get in on this at all, but we are just amazed by that talent. And you can write a song with Aoife Scott, and she sings it like All Along the Atlantic Way, and then you sing it, same words, but just a different little twist on it, and it's like a whole different song, It's just, it's just a unique grasp of what you have to.
Thanks a
to
million.
make it special.
It's fun to do the same song, or to hear another person sing your song and what they bring to it,
Right.
and or a collaboration like with Aoife, that
Right.
we both wrote it, but she has her version and I have mine. It's great. Yeah,
it's amazing. And Anne Marie, I imagine you met in Ireland.
That's right. Yeah, I was in Ireland for 20 years. And
Oh, were you?
Yeah, from the late 90s, and Ent and I met off. It was not at all music circles, but then he was like, "Hey, I'm in a band. Come see me." So I always say, oh, it's like those movies, he was up on stage and but it was kind of like that. He was in a band called the Mongrels and with his friend Peter Keogh and Griffo, sorry, not Griffey. That's my friend's
In Dublin, we
son.
put O's after
O's on
everyone,
everything.
so it's Griffo.
I was Ammo, by the way. Anne-Marie becomes Ammo.
Ammo.
So I'm Ammo. Send a shout out to everyone in Dublin.
Yeah.
Well, nice. And were you over there for a special reason or family or?
No, I was one of those. I went over on a work permit and I stayed.
Oh, okay.
So I just loved it, and I love Dublin, and I just had a fantastic life there, and really embraced Irish culture and people, and his family by far the best of the best for taking a girl to their hearts and never look back. And we've just had the most amazing journey with music. And there was a time, especially during the recession in 2007-8, that time, when the arts just exploded because people didn't have any money. They didn't have anything to do. So Dublin was really just alive with this poetry, music, creativity. We were on a kind of our own little scene. And those people are very dear to our hearts still, because Stephen James Smith would be one of them.
Yeah.
Just you didn't have anything else to do. You didn't have any money. So you just got together and really created and shared and made a really interesting scene.
Nice, very, very nice. Well, thank you. That's a nice perspective.
You might be sorry you gave me a mic. You better take it back. I did this on our wedding day, too.
You're welcome to use the mic anytime.
Yeah, and no, it's always nice to know that there's a person that's there with you, supporting you, but also enjoying that journey of, something new and creative and different. So it's very, very special. So do you have another song that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I sing a song that Anne-Marie wrote as a poem, and then I turned into a song.
Oh, really? Wait, she's already gone back in the mics. She's a writer as well?
Well, she wouldn't say she is, but on this occasion she was. And this is a song that during the live streams people ask for all the time. This is it's for anyone who's feeling a bit down or needs a bit of a pick me up. This is called A Wounded Bird, and
I like that one.
Yeah. So Anne-Marie wrote I wrote the melody, I think, on a fiddle, and then it went to the guitar, and then Anne-Marie wrote the poem, and then I kind of put the happy ending on it, as it were. So this is A Wounded Bird for anyone who's sick or feeling down at the moment. So.
Nice.
You are a wounded bird on a road with passers-by. You are a wounded bird, but they would let you die before they broke your wing. They stole your will to fly. Remember your sweet song, now I only hear your cry. You are a wounded bird, waiting just to die. But I will mend your wing if you relearn to fly. All the people pray the foolish and the wisest, and all the people say it's you who flew the highest. Remember all those days, you can have them back again. You're not a wounded bird and you can dry your eye. You're not a wounded bird, and here's the reason why. I only fixed your wing, it was you who chose to fly.
You're not a wounded bird, and here's a reason why. I can hear you sing as you embrace the sky.
Beautiful. I wonder how that makes you feel, Anne Marie. You know you're at a distance there, but to have your work put to music as well.
Well, I'm getting in on Enda's mic now. I wrote a poem that was a bit more depressing than that, and Enda gave it a nice end. So it's not word for word, my poem. So that's why I don't really like to take too much credit. He had that tune, and I listened to that tune, and it affected me very deeply, and I was thinking of someone very dear to my heart, and I wrote the basis of the poem, but then Enda took it and kind of gave it better structure and gave it that uplift at the end. I kind of had just started the feeling, and he finished it, which is what I'm really happy about.
Yeah.
That, because it isn't supposed to be a downer, you know, but
Right.
It was just a sentiment I didn't know where to go with, and he has that kind of skill to put it in the right place. But it's the tunes, like
it's
the
gorgeous.
1913, I could just listen to that instrumental for hours. I just love the tunes. So there's just a magic there.
Right.
Of course, I'd say that.
Of course you would. Biased, totally biased.
That's all right. There's nothing better than coming from your spouse, you know.
Thanks, though.
Tell me, where did you come up with the playing of the instruments? Was that always as a young child as well, or is that something you've...
In school, so my parents would have paid for me to learn the fiddle. Well, initially, the tin whistle. Everyone would have played tin whistle in school and been taught a few tunes on the tin whistle. And then my parents would have said, right, you're going. My older brother Connor was learning the fiddle, so the fiddle was already in the house. So I would learn fiddle maybe at lunchtime in school. It was kind of done on the side. It wasn't like that. So even in high school, in secondary school, there was a group of 𝐾𝐞𝐭, which you would go to maybe at lunchtime or after school. You'd have your practice, but it wasn't part of a formal education, as it were, you know. So we were being taught music, but it was kind of on the side. And so, in fact, for the leaving certificate in our school, there wasn't a music teacher, so I couldn't learn music as like notes and classical way, but you were still able to learn, you know. I was playing the fiddle badly. I was part of the gang who was down the back of the group of 𝐾𝐞𝐭, the music group, and
You weren't the lead one, huh?
all the good people were at the front or whatever. But like, you were learning things there. I was a little slower at learning some of it all. So, but eventually, when I was 16, I started playing guitar. I realized I wanted to be able to sing, and you know, it's been it takes a while, but if you keep at things day by day, you get better.
Right. Well, I was going to say to me you're the best. So.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very, very, very nice. It appears we have another phone call. If you don't mind, we're going to take this one. This is from our good friend 𝐶𝐞𝐭 𝐈𝐫𝐢𝐬𝐿, and 𝐶𝐞𝐭, how are you doing today?
Oh, am I live, Kathleen?
Yep, you are live, so watch what you say.
Well, so let me see. I'm actually calling you from up north Michigan. I almost don't really know where I am at this point, but I know it's in we're at a lake called Twin Lake, close to the Gaylord area. Kathleen, as you know, I call in every few weeks with Gaelic football news, and my call in today actually will be more about romance than Gaelic football, if that's okay. We can all do with some romance.
We certainly can.
More about that in a minute. I'll just give you kind of a little update on our local team of Tones. They were down in Chicago last week, and of course at the North American finals. And I wasn't there myself, unfortunately, but just I heard it firsthand. They played very competitively. They were in the game against San Diego throughout. There was only 2 points between the teams with 10 minutes to go, but San Diego's experience and the Irish-born players were too strong in the end. The positive part is that they are already talking about how they'll be even more committed next year, and indeed they'll have some more players who are not available this year. So I think we're going to have a very good year in next year. In Ireland, Club Championship is in full swing. It's got the full attention of all the GAA supporters. So throughout the 32 counties, there are men's and ladies hurling football going on. As we've discussed in the past, this is the essence of Gaelic games across the country, all the local towns, villages, and cities. Gaelic football is very active. Just to give you an idea, Kathleen, how many games are going on in Ireland, Brian Carty of RTE has a weekly podcast of just results, nothing else, just results from around the country. And it typically takes about 10 minutes to give all the scores and results.
Wow, that's a lot.
Oh, I should have, when I was talking about Chicago, I kind of want to mention, we're familiar with the different cities here that have playing Gaelic football for many years. Chicago, New York, and San Francisco, Boston, and so on. But this will give you just an idea of the amount of clubs that have started up across the country. We've got now clubs in Austin, Dallas, Denver, Flagstaff, Houston, Phoenix, San Antonio, Atlanta, Augusta, Cayman Islands, Charleston, Charlotte, Greenville, Knoxville, Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, Raleigh, Savannah, and Winston-Salem. So just to give you kind of an idea, the popularity, the way that the game has spread to the different outlying cities.
Isn't that wonderful? It just means more opportunities in the future for these teams to meet up and really tweak the sport,
Yeah, and what it also does, Kathleen, it allows there's more divisions. So teams starting out are not necessarily having to play at the highest level where they're not going to be competitive. It gives them the opportunity to play at a level, the level of their skill. And as that they're maybe acquire more members and more players, then they're able to move up to a different level. So it's really such a positive thing. Again, I wasn't in Chicago, unfortunately, last weekend, but I learned that there was games going on 3 days on 5 different fields from morning until early evening. So that'll just give you the scope of the participation.
Isn't that fabulous?
All right, Kathleen. Well, now on to romance. We were up in Elmira, Michigan, close to Gaylord this weekend for a special wedding. I should add that I think all weddings are special, but I suppose this one was especially unique. And my niece, Aoife McGuinness from Tubbercurry, County Sligo, got married to Cameron Church from Southeast Michigan. What made it especially unique was the fact we had over 20 people out from the Tubbercurry area of County Sligo who travelled out for the wedding. So there we were in a barn in northern Michigan on a beautiful Saturday evening with a group of people who had come from that distance, and of course a lot from the Michigan area itself, and what a fantastic evening it was. We had traditional music played by our local Michael and Mick Gavin, and we know of their talents. And when it's played in a rustic barn, it just seemed to take on a greater significance. And also 2 of the girls from the Tubbercurry area are exceptionally singers, actually professional singers in Ireland. So it was an occasion that I think will give us long good memories into the future.
Well, isn't that wonderful? Now, is this your sister's daughter that got married?
Yeah, Lena McGuinness is my sister, and her daughter Aoife McGuinness, married to Cameron Church, and so So we have to wish Aoife and Church, who now go forward as a married couple, much luck and much happiness in the future.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. Congratulations to them, and what a wonderful time it must have been for you to have so many of your family members here in Michigan. I imagine it was probably the first time for many of them to come to Michigan, and particularly northern Michigan. Did they enjoy
Well, my
the
sister had
sights?
been here. My sister had been here 30 years ago, actually, for my wedding, or myself, Victoria's wedding. So it was a worthy occasion for them to make a return. So anyhow, that's it, Kathleen. I won't keep you too long. Just hope we'll see Aoife and Cameron at some Irish events coming up. There's some good events coming up in the next few weeks. And I know you got some excellent musicians, music in the studio today with Enda. But maybe at some point, if you can play a song by Tommy Fleming. Tommy Fleming is actually from the same area in Sligo as we are, at Clare. And if you're able to play that song, All I Want Is You.
Oh, that sounds like a great one. Yep, we'll get that one on for our newlyweds, to Aoife McGinnis and Cameron Church. Now the Mrs. Church, Aoife Church. We wish them all the best. And yeah, tell them if they're living down in this area, come down on the 14th. They'll get to meet Endon Riley personally, along with Aoife Scott, who is in concert that night.
How are you, Pádraig? How's it going? I believe happy on
I wouldn't match your singing or
Not
playing
at all.
skills, but
happy
At least
anniversary
I
to
can
you.
talk.
Happy anniversary to you as well. 30 years. So.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Enda.
Yes.
So, all right, Kathleen. I think I might get out there in the lake, try to do some swimming, even though I can't really go in any more than 3 feet of water.
Yes, just be safe and have fun. And worse than the waters is the sunburns we all get. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks,
All right.
Kathleen.
Thanks
See
so
you
very
later.
much for calling in on this very special weekend for all of the Eagans. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. All right. How about we play that song for Aoife McGinnis and Cameron Church, who were just married this weekend, having family from Tumacurry, County Sligo, coming here, and then we'll get back with Endon.
You say your story to remain untold, your love not to grow. But all the promises we break, from the cradle to the grave, when all I want is you. When all I want is you. When all I want is you.
Okay, that went out to the newlyweds, Ephraim McGinnis marrying Cameron Church up there in northern Michigan, and Aoife's uncle, who is our regular call-in, Paul Keegan, sharing that good news, and as he always does, and we appreciate, giving us a nice selection. All I Want Is You by Tommy Fleming. Well, we have to take another little break here and thank those that have tuned in and have made acknowledge that they're listening and enjoying hearing from you, Endon Riley, as well as Bruce doing a great job on the board. My usual chatter, and Anne Marie, you are an additional wonderful guest. But we have Sean Gavin checking in, along with my brother Peter Dewan, the Up and Down in Wyandotte, which includes Jenny, who's part of the group McSpillin, Janet Anderson, Mark Clancy, Graham Smith, Patrick John, Paul Sigmund, Nora Fix, which is Tim, the bartender's mom, is checked in, Brian Whiteley, Shannon Atkin, Tori Smith, Tracy Rich, Shane Booth, Elaine Hawkins, Rory Makem, wow,
Rory.
Dennis Whalen, Wolfgang Banish, is that how I pronounce it? And Marianne Kiefer. And it says radio show host.
Yeah.
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 So thank you
Hi,
all for tuning in to Detroit Irish Radio. Oops, there's a few more here. Daniel Miller, Black Murray, and Alice Maloney. So we appreciate you listening, and we are happy to have Endon Riley as our guest today. Do you have another selection you'd like to?
Yeah, I do indeed.
share?
Hello to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Great that you're with us. So I have another Yeats one, seeing as I'm here to talk about the Yeats album. This is Yeats used to go to Cool Park in Galway quite a lot, and he was fascinated with swans, and this is about seeing the swans on the lake. And it reminds me personally of my grandfather, who used to count the swans every year on the Turlough, which is a seasonal lake in Mayo. So when you've got, here's a geology lesson. When the rains come and on limestone type of land where you might have caves and things underneath the ground, when the water table gets real high, you end up with a lake. Just for a while, and then the swans tend to know that the lake's going to be up, and you get a load of swans in the lake. So, and then inevitably they will fly off, and I think that's this kind of ephemeral nature of the swans coming and going is what Yeats captures in this song really well.
And what is the name of the song?
So the poem is called "The Wild Swans at Cool."
Okay.
Yeah. trees are in their autumn beauty, the woodland paths are dry. Under the October twilight, the water mirrors a still sky. Upon the brimming waters among the stones are 59 swans. The 19th autumn has come upon me since I first made my count. I saw before I had well finished, all suddenly mountains scatter wheeling in great broken rings upon their clamorous wings. But now they drift on the still water, mysterious, beautiful. Among what rushes will they build? By what lake's edge or pool delight men's eyes when they awake one day to find they've flown away? They've flown away, flown away, to find they've flown away. Find they float away, to find they float away, float away, to find they float away, to find they float away.
Very, very nice. You know, it puts that poetry in a whole different realm of being able to read or listen. You know, when you, and I have to chuckle when you say that that's how you would remember things, by putting a little bit of a music to it. Because I think that is beneficial in lots of different things that people do.
Yeah, totally. For me, the poem itself really starts to make more sense in my mind as soon as I kind of, the lyrics start to, I feel myself in the poem then, and I'm like, oh yeah, I start to get it even more, you know, once I'm in it.
It comes alive, kind of, you know. And,
yeah, I'm glad you find that too. Thank you.
Maybe that's the connection of why I just love your music, because
you.
all of a sudden you can visualize it, and I guess I'm more of that than, you know, auditory. I hate to say
some
listener,
people are writers,
you know,
and on the page, and they're readers. Like Anne-Marie, she reads all the time, or my father was some people are just reader, and I think some people are more listeners, you know. So I think it's just a different part of the brain or something.
Yeah, very, very nice. I know we had another caller that's going to call back, or no?
He said he would.
Okay. I was going to say, we'll see if we hear from John Kerry. He's going to give us the excitement that's happening next Sunday with the Irish boxers. But in the meantime, I just want to make mention of a few people that have died, that their funerals are coming up this week. One of them is Brian Francis. And Brian Francis was a musician as well in the Irish community. He played with the group Wakes and Weddings Band with Walter Walsh and Roger McCarville and Roger McCarville's son, Dan and Roger. He has died, and his funeral mass, memorial mass, is being held this coming Wednesday, August 31st, up at St. Anne's Church in Ortonville at 11 a.m. The family will receive friends from 10 to 11 on Wednesday at the church. So our condolences go out to the Brian Francis family. He came from a large family and is survived by 5 children: Stephen, William, Mary Grace, John, and Mark, and his mother Colleen. And then 5 sisters: Maureen, Kathleen, Patricia, Eileen, Margaret, and Molly, and 2 brothers, James and Michael. Many nieces and nephews. The next one is actually a personal family friend with Irish and came from the Pittsburgh area originally, Roseanne Stulute. She was a car died recently as well, and her funeral mass is this coming Saturday out in Washington Township, St. John and Paul Catholic Church. Family's going to receive friends at 9 a.m. and a memorial mass is at 10 o'clock. We went to send condolences to her children, Michael, Linda, Suzanne, Michelle, and Tommy, and as well as her grandchildren. Gregory Ignatius was 65. He was a friend of Detroit Irish Radio. His mother, Dorothy Ignatius, along with Father William McGoldrick, put on many fundraisers for this program in the past. And Gregory has special needs, but enjoyed the music and enjoyed being a part of it. His funeral was held this past Friday. And Marianne Desmond, she was married, she was a McNamara, married to Richard Desmond for 49 years, the late Richard. Mother to Maureen and Richard, and Cherry's grandmother, died on, and her funeral was this past Friday as well. So condolences to Margaret and Desmond's family, Greg Ignatius family, Brian Francis family, and to Rose Stulutz. Your thoughts. Your thoughts are in our prayers. Our prayers are in your thoughts, and we wish you comfort as you go through these difficult days. Did you have another song that you?
Would you like to play one of the ones from the CD that have you got that?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
just to give people an idea of what if you had it there, Bruce. If you don't, I could sing it as well. That's
no, we do have the Stolen Child. Probably down near the bottom.
Yeah.
I didn't put it in.
Oh.
No problem. Sure, I'll give you a different one then.
No, I got it.
He got it.
I was going to say, that's so unlike Bruce not to have it. Of course he has
It's
it.
another, yeah.
Where dips the rocky highland of Sleuthwood in the lake, there lies a leafy island where flapping herons wake the drowsy water rats. And there we've hid our fairy vats full of berries and of reddest stolen cherries. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wave of moonlight glosses the dim grey sands with light, far off by furthest Rosses, we've put it all the night, weaving olden dances, mingling hands and mingling glances, till the moon has taken flight. To and fro we leap and chase the frothy bubbles, while the world is full of troubles and is anxious in its sleep. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wandering water gushes from the hills above Glencar, in pools among the rushes that scarce could bathe a star, we seek for slumbering trout, and whispering in their ears, give them unquiet dreams, leaning softly out from ferns that drop their tears over the young streams. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. La, 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 la. going, the solemnite. He'll hear no more the lowing of the calves on the warm hillside, or the kettle on the hob sing peace into his breast, or see the brown mice bob round and round the oatmeal chest. For he comes, the human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, from a world more full of weeping than he can understand.
Very nice. And then had to ask you, I heard different instruments in there. So that's part of the mix that you did for this?
Yeah. Some of them are like that. Some of them are just guitar and vocal as well. So I did some of some of these poems. I kind of went overboard with different instruments, with overproducing them years ago. So these are more tempered, produced. We learn as we go with these things.
Well, very, very nice. Talk about temper. We have on now our good friend John Kerry is calling in, and he's been working with a good group, the Bridges Beyond Boxing, for years, and those young people that he's going to talk about are all very well-tempered in order to play the sport of boxing. John, how are you doing?
Good, Kathleen. I want to thank you so much for giving me the time to promote our program coming up, and want to thank you for being such a great ambassador for the Irish community. Whenever there's events, you're always behind them 100%, and none of us could do this without your support and being able to get our word out through your network. So I really appreciate all you're doing for the Irish community.
Well, thanks. It's a pleasure, and certainly enjoy the fact that there's people out there that are organizing and presenting events that we can all be a part of. So tell us what's happening this coming weekend, and I guess I also want to know if you already have some of these young competitors here in the state.
Yes, well, they're coming into Boston tomorrow. So the program has grown now. So when we first started out, with a wing and a prayer, we did it here in Detroit, of course. Our first year down at Burt's at the Eastern Market, a collaborative event with help from everyone, and with your help back then, and all the help throughout the whole Irish community. So from that one event, it's grown into getting an invitation down to Cincinnati through the Cincinnati L Group, wanted to have international flavor on it. So we hooked up with the people down there in Cincinnati. So when the Irish get done here, they have an event down there in Cincinnati. It's been a success. Then last time they did in 2019, one of the host families in 2019, since has moved to Boston and was so impressed with the program, he wanted to kickstart it in Boston. So through his help, the group now is going to be doing an event in Boston, here in Detroit, and then down to Cincinnati. So the program, once everyone finds out what it's all about the diversity and the inclusion, and trying to bridge the gap between the races and religions, it's more than boxing. Boxing is our vehicle that we get these kids to learn to get along and put differences behind them. As far as whatever differences people might have of races or religions, we forget all that. These kids are put together, they train together, travel together, they live together, they compete together, and they become a family. So through the program, we see it working tremendously as far as breaking down some of these racial barriers we've lived with for years.
Well, and so this coming next Sunday, I should say, on Labor Day weekend, but September 4th, the young people from Ireland are coming to Detroit to have the boxing at Eastern Market, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Shed 3 at the Easter Market. Doors are going to open up at 5 o'clock. The first bout is at 6. And it'll probably be 3 hours. We've got 12 bouts this year. Irish will bring a total of 13 fighters. And one of them we're billing as our rematch, a very, very, very close match at Deanna Plummer at Tony Harrison's Henry Haynes gym in Detroit here. So that's the only one that can be an actual rematch. We look at that as kind of being our key matchup there, and probably the fight of the night. And then we have one female boxer from Ireland that's going to have superstars. So we feel we've got our best card that we've ever put together. Irish, that the program is growing so much in Ireland too, and all the kids in Ireland really want to be on that card and come to the United States, because all of the positive press we've had there in Ireland with the program, it gives a kid to strive for every year. So there's a criteria the kids have to hit. They have to do, pull certain GPAs, make sure they're doing good in school, be a good ambassador in their own communities, and then they're allowed to come over. And we do the same thing here with our kids going over to Ireland.
I was going to say, it's been amazing, and I look forward to hopefully meeting some of these, both Detroit and Belfast, and getting them some more publicity and support. But how can people get tickets, John, or can they just show up on next Sunday?
Yep, if they show up at the door, they can buy them right there at the door. They can go to Eventbrite. If you go to Eventbrite, you can get them online as well. You can go to our website, Bridges Beyond, or you can go to Bridges Beyond Boxing Detroit, get them there, or go on Facebook and go to our link there on Facebook. And you're able to get them. If you buy pre-sale, they're $15, $20 at the door. There's also VIP tickets available, tables available, sponsorships available. So quite a ways, different ways people can get involved with the program.
Well, very good. We appreciate you calling in and sharing all that information, and we wish them all a wonderful experience here. I know the young people that went to Ireland earlier this year certainly enjoyed it and came back different people, right? Their horizon has been widened. So thanks, John Kerry, for all that you're doing to help these young people experience something very special. So.
Well, I appreciate that, Kathleen, the kind words, and it's like a labor of love for all of us. I couldn't do it without the help like Marilyn and Pat and O'Hara. So it's got a lot of people that are behind the scenes too.
Yep. Well, that's how it works. That's how it gets good. So,
yes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, John. Good luck to you. Yep.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Yep.
Take care.
Yep. God bless. Bye-bye. All right. We got a little bit of time left. What do you got up next, Cinda?
Yeah, I could do one more. Can I mention a performance I'll be doing at a festival at the end of the week on Friday?
Sure.
On the 2nd, it's the Art Beats and Eats.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah,
nice.
in Royal Oak. So
Yeah.
at 12:30, I'll be on the Flagstar International stage. So that'll be at 12:30. Directly following me will be Ironwood, which
nice.
a lot of people are remember or know, and also Black Murray will be on. So we're all one after another. So any fans of all three of us can come on Friday. That's the 2nd, if I'm getting my dates correct.
Right.
So that's the next time I'm performing. So yeah, that'll be. I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun. Hopefully there should be some good food, good grub to be had as well. So I have a song for you. This is called The Everlasting Voices, which is another one of Yeats's poems. And in this one, he's kind of annoyed at the at the fairy people, or the kind of the otherworldly beings, as it were. Other times he's kind of thinking how good they are, and this time he's kind of annoyed at them. Actually, I was tuned to something else, so let's get back into tuning.
I was going to say, while you do your tuning, I'm going to announce another event that's happening on Saturday up in the Thumb area, the Thumb Fest. It's Blue Water's area's premium acoustic music event. It spotlights music including traditional folk, New Orleans brass, Celtic pan world, blues, Eastern European, and Americana, to name only a few. And at this festival will be the Perkins are going to be on stage. And the festival itself is from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. My suggestion, there is a schedule online, and unfortunately I didn't have it right in front of me, but go to bluewaterfolk.org/thumbfest.html, and it will show the schedule, and you can find maybe some other of the Celtic music as well. I'll tune up.
No, all good, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A sweet everlasting voice says, be still. Go to the guards of the heavenly fall and bid them wander, obeying your will. Flame under flame till time be no more. Have you not heard that our hearts are old? Dew calling birds in wind on the hill, and shaking boughs and tide on the shore. A sweet everlasting voice says, be still. A sweet everlasting voice says, sweet everlasting voice says, sweet everlasting voice says. A sweet everlasting voice says, sweet everlasting voice says, sweet everlasting voice says. I wanna be a sherry biggie queuing. 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐴 gardi van rav never. It's time to ardal ag fáníocht the ever dolla. Lasser fui lasser, goodimach an now me small. Our hula shiv gur chriad our greed. Skung lein shits an ainlin so lair and gnog. So gay crahanax teed an tron. I'm gonna be the sheery cuteness. Oh, sweet everlasting voices, sweet everlasting voices, sweet everlasting voices. Oh, sweet everlasting voices, sweet everlasting voices, sweet everlasting voices. Oh, sweet everlasting voices, sweet everlasting voices, sweet everlasting voices.
That's another thing that you make me want to do, is go back to the language classes. So I know what you're singing. I mean, you know, when you're away from the Irish language, you kind of forget and you don't remember how to pronounce words.
Right.
I mean, even with your one album that's all in Irish, it's nice to be able to go, and you have it on your website where you can read the translations. Oh, this is what that song is about, and you know, and so. Yeah,
it's tricky when you've been away from it for a while. Yeah. And
but you make even the Irish exciting. You know,
thank you.
Don't you think it sounds so much? I don't know, softer or something.
Well, that's again, the translation from Gabriel Rosenstock is just wonderful. I wouldn't have been able to do half as good a job as he does with the translation. He's just, his depth of knowledge of the language is just unbelievable. Like, you know.
I don't know if you've ever met Kathy Ryan, but she was from here. Actually, her mom and her sister, Angela and Mary Ryan, did the program a couple weeks ago for Mary's birthday. But she writes a lot of her own songs, and she sings. She sings a lot. She lives in Ireland now, but she sings in Irish too. And you know, it's like that's kind of a refreshing and renewal that here we have the Gaelic League, which was one of the reasons why it was founded, was to preserve the language that.
And I was actually looking at where we've done performances with this 𝐤𝐻 stuff that I've done. And one of the places is the Gaelic League in Tipperary, actually.
Oh, really?
𝐶𝐞𝐭 𝐫𝐢𝐤𝐻 there, and they're amazing places. The one on Harcourt Street I've been into, and I've performed there a number of times.
Oh, have you? I've been there. Yeah.
Club on Conrad they call it. And you can go downstairs for a pint.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, how cool. Well, we're coming up to near the end. Before we end, is there anything that we missed that you want to share? And then I didn't ask you earlier, but would you like to go out with some sort of instrumental or something, or a song that you don't mind that we fade or something?
We can go out with. I have a new one which is all about 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻. We can do that one.
Oh, that's
Give you a little snippet of it. I'm sure we'll get to play it some other time as well.
Right.
But I just mentioned that it'll be the album To the Waters and the Wild. This is the name of the album of the 𝐀's material I've been doing. It'll be available to kind of pre-sales, as it were, from the 1st of September, and then it'll actually be up on Spotify and everything like that from at the end of the month on the 30th. So if you see me in person, you might be able to get yourself an early copy.
and you don't mind, I hope, because we're one of those ones that have been able to purchase ours today.
You're the first. This is it.
That we can start playing this starting next week, a song a week, maybe.
Why not?
Would that be all right?
I think that's a good idea. Like, this is the thing. Yeah. Why not? So listen, I'll finish off with this one if that's all right.
I was going to say, should I say my goodbyes first?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Bruce would like me to say goodbye, so I will do that. And then we can go out with some wonderful music by Endon Riley. Appreciate all that have tuned in today. Let your family members and friends know that we are here and you can listen to this show as many times as you want, because it is on Detroit Irish Radio Facebook page, as well as a podcast on crbradio.com under the Detroit Irish Radio, which is Sundays Studio 2. And it's also posted to the Gaelic League website on the radio page. So many ways to re-listen to this one, but stop by on Sundays and see us and be a part of it. Thanks again, Endon Riley, for coming in and
very welcome
and making this just a wonderful, enjoyable show. And to your wife, Anne Marie, thank you for all the added little behind the scenes, most enjoyable. And of course, Bruce Smith. We couldn't do without Bruce and all of his knowledge. And to you, our listeners, thank you so very much for tuning in to Detroit Irish Radio. Until next week, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Have a great week. 𝐶𝐞𝐭 𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐻𝐻. 𝐶𝐞𝐭, we go out with a bit of 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 and Endon Riley.
She's a legend, 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻. Before ever she set sail, her dad said, "You're going nowhere." So then she cut off all her hair. She's grown away, grown away, grown away. And do you think that 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, yes, the first time she set sail, knew that we would call her name every time we'd fall in pain. 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 𝐿𝐴 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 Jatar Salu Holy Armalay Margorda. Run away, run away, run away, run away. And do you think that she heard tears as he sang her name so fierce? And did her spirit really rise over an undefeated sky? Run away, run away, run away, run away. Well, she's a legend, run away. Be forever, she said sail. Heard I said you were going nowhere. And then she cut off all her hair. She's run away, run away, run away, run away. Well, she's a legend, run away. Be forever, she said sail. Heard I said you were going nowhere. So then she cut off all her hair. Run away, run away, run away, run away. Well, she's a legend, run away. Cornelia.